Hello and welcome to Just Another Podcast. This is our first ever recording, straight from Bo, E3.
I've never heard you that happy in my entire life.
Hey, I'm trying to sound perky for the audience. I'm trying to be real. I'm trying to be genuine. As you can tell, I'm not nervous at all when I'm speaking.
I think it's almost working, just a little bit.
Trying to fool everyone.
Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Just Another Podcast, which, as the name suggests, is just another podcast.
Yeah, it's two mates from a room, sitting in a room right now, just looking to talk shit on a podcast. It's quite original actually. It's just another podcast.
Not like the thousands of others sitting right now doing the same exact thing. This is going to be the real one.
This is original. So we're working out what we do and what we talk about over the next few weeks and months. But one of the things that we want to do is for just another podcast is to have loads of different topics across different areas and not necessarily box ourselves into a particular thing.
And guys, when we say that, we actually mean it. Like us two sitting here right now, we have no idea where this podcast is going to go. Like we have no topics that it's like, that's what you're going to talk about. This is what the podcast is going to be. Literally nothing. And we're just going to take it as it is. And the podcast is going to work it out itself.
Hopefully. I have done zero research. I have done nothing.
Exactly.
AZ has asked me to do some research. I've done none of it.
I told him I would do some, but I've done nothing either. This is a brilliant start.
We didn't have a name till about an hour ago, and Just Another Podcast is an original idea, and we're here to talk shit. I think the first topic, we'd dive straight into it.
Actually, before we get to the topic, to the millions of you who are going to listen to this podcast.
Hi, Mum and Dad.
Hi, Mum and Dad. Could you give us your opinions on the name? Because like Tanashi said, we literally just came up with the name about an hour ago. So, and we think it's quite cool. Surprisingly, no one had it. So, let us know what you guys think. Do you like the name or not? And yeah, I mean, if you have any topics you would like for us to talk about, let us know as well.
We can always change the name, Let us know. The name can change. But actually, we didn't introduce ourselves.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Go ahead. You can go first.
Hi, my name's Tanashi Zamani. I'm excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Aza Chowdhury, and this is a great opportunity for me. Those are my typical interview answers, so I'll just go with that.
This is a fantastic opportunity. I'll grab it with both hands. I'm an enthusiastic individual who does their research before.
Don't forget about the learning, the development opportunities for yourself to be a better person for tomorrow. That's what it's all about.
That is what we're here to do, ladies and gentlemen, for the first opportunity to talk, to really get into it. Greatest of all time.
The GOATs, basically. A topic that everyone loves to talk about, regardless of what sport you follow. Everyone talks about who's your GOAT, who's the best player ever. And it's like, well, I think it's a good place for us to start. We both like sports. We're into football, Formula 1, whatever. So we thought it would be like a good little topic, to kick this whole podcast off. And yeah. So, is that you trying to do?
I'm trying to do my research.
So Tanashi just typed in GOAT on Google and a freaking GOAT came up.
So the GOAT definition on Google, just typed in GOAT, a hardly domesticated ruminant mammal that is backward curving horns, and in the male, a beard, is kept for its milk and meat, and noted for its lively behaviour. That is a GOAT.
Obviously, that's not the GOAT that we're talking about. We're talking about the greatest of all times. Hold on, why are you typing in greatest of all time definition? Like, you know what it means? It's a sentence.
I know it, but I'm just trying to find something. Greatest of all time is a term used to describe the ultimate incarnation of anything, from an athlete to an automobile. Frequently used popular lists of superlatives is typically abbreviated as G.O.A.T. or GOAT.
GOAT.
Now that we've got the definition.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone describe a car as a GOAT.
Lewis Hamilton's car could be the greatest Formula 1 car of all time.
We'll talk about it when we get to F1 then.
Yeah, straight into the biggest sport in the world, football, as Americans call it,
Soccer.
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 Soccer is actually a British term as well. Fun fact.
What is it? Why?
Because it's actually an English term. Because people always think Americans came up with the term soccer, but it's actually a Oxford term to describe football.
Why did they come up with soccer? Like, what's the reason behind it?
They just use an old English term to describe football.
So after all this time of us taking the piss out of Americans, they're right.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, I guess soccer is.
Hey, don't fact check me. That's just straight from my dome. But
Anyway, we will call it football, just
yeah,
not to piss anyone off.
yeah. Actually, I'm a huge football fan. I've watched football for pretty much most of my life, and I think in recent years, Messi and Ronaldo have kind of taken football to a whole new level.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads of fanatics, fanboys, Twitter, Instagram. They're all over. They're all over. You can't be a Messi appreciator and be a Ronaldo appreciator at the same time. You have to have a preference. That's what I feel like anyway.
100%. I think the way, especially with social media, like Instagram and Twitter, their fanboys are unbearable. Like, these guys come up with third, fourth degree stats, and it's like, oh, that proves Ronaldo's the GOAT, Messi's the GOAT, and it's like, well, not really. Like, who gets the most likes on the Instagram page doesn't make you the GOAT.
Yeah, Ronaldo is one of the most followed people.
I think he
gram.
actually is, yeah.
Ronaldo Instagram page uploading when he's Anyway, I'm chatting shit. That definition. So there's so many ways to measure GOAT. Instagram followers being one of them. Likes.
I don't think Instagram or Twitter followers or how many likes you get could be a definition. Could be like a measure of GOAT, man.
It's not, but it does feature.
That's more for popularity contests. Like, that doesn't make you the greatest player to have ever played the game.
Okay, I get that. It's not. There's so many different things, right? Goals, assists, just aura as well. Some people just got a good vibe. As soon as they step into the pitch, you know they're on the pitch. I can't quite describe it.
Yeah,
but,
like, you definitely stand out. Like,
yeah.
Like, you just look on the field and you're like, he's the guy who's going to get it done.
Yeah, and people referred that as the eye test, I think.
Yeah.
But there's so many eye tests also means that you need to see the person. So that's one of the GOAT debates, right? You haven't actually seen some of these players. So
actually, a question for you then. What do you think is more important? Just purely relying on stats and looking at your goal numbers, your assist numbers, and goal per minutes? Or is it the eye test where you see a player and you see all his contributions, see what he's doing on the field, and then you're like, no, do you know what? He's actually better. Even though he hasn't gotten that goal in the 90th minute, the way he's played, the way he's changed the game, the way he's controlled is way more important.
I think the eye test, if someone's not in a attacking position or directly attacking position, is so key. Because there's certain things that you see. So Alan Saint-Maximin, he's roasting players. Like, he's sending people back to where they came from, literally.
Yeah.
It was buckling. The knees are weak. So he's a great player, but maybe his stats don't show it. But because he's such a great player, he roasts so many players that teams have to cater for him, and he opens up space for other people. So I watched Arsenal versus Man City yesterday. Bukayo Saka had Nathan Ake on toast. He was just rinsing him. But Saka scored a goal, so he comes up, right? But even if he didn't score the goal, Man City were so scared that there were 4 players around him pretty much each time he was on the ball. That doesn't come up on the stats, right?
Yeah.
But if you're watching it, you're like, this is the guy.
But then again, right, say if Saka never scored yesterday. Did he score yesterday?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Say if he never scored yesterday, right? He could have had Ake, and all the defenders, like, they're mad stressed out about him. They're like, this is the guy. But if he doesn't score, and the person on the other side scores, and your team gets 3 points, and they go on to win trophies because the guy's scoring, at the end of the day, isn't that what football's about, winning?
Yeah. The goal is... Yeah.
That's what fans chant about, right? Like, we won. It doesn't matter if you defended and, you score like 1 goal a game, but as long as you win the title, like, are other fans not going to look at you and be like, you know what, they won, so doesn't it come down to the stats then?
It's the stats, like the winning stats. I think that's the key thing. But you can score 50 goals in a season, and if your team doesn't win, no one really registers it that much.
Yeah.
Harry Kane was a top goal scorer, top assist scorer last season, but Tottenham was so rubbish that you're like, okay, cool story, bro. Does that make sense?
I think that might be more for Tottenham thing than Harry Kane.
But at some point, you need to start. Your individual contributions need to feed into the team success. But that's also what makes it so difficult in terms of talking about GOATs, because sometimes we're then limited to players who play at the highest level in terms of the teams that they play for. So Messi, now going back to the football GOATs. So I'll go back to Messi. So the first thing is like Messi, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Zidane, the original Ronaldo, Pele, Maradona, Marco van Basten, Johan Cruyff.
Do you know what? I actually think the list is simpler than that. I think it's Messi, Ronaldo, Pele, and Maradona. I think
original Ronaldo. I don't think
that many
I knew
people.
you were going to say that, but the original Ronaldo needs to be there.
I agree with you. Like, he was an amazing player, and I rate him very highly. But is he in people's GOAT conversations? Like, when people say GOAT, does he come up?
Yes.
I don't think he comes up much, you know? I don't think he does.
Yes.
I don't think he does. I honestly don't think he does.
No, he does. Honestly, I'll lay out the facts, right? I've done some. No, I haven't done some research. The original Ronaldo, right? He moved from Cruzeiro in Brazil to PSV Eindhoven. And I think once he left PSV Eindhoven, he went to Barcelona. Then from Barcelona to Inter Milan, from Inter Milan to Real Madrid, then Real Madrid to AC Milan, I think, and then back to Brazil. One thing I'll say about him is I watched him in 1998 when I was really, really young. And I can't remember what exactly was happening. But I just remember my mum, she's into football, but not a daily fan, if it makes sense. She's not watching game in, game out, but she watches the World Cups.
Yeah.
And she just lost it. Like, this guy's playing so good, like football, she just lost it. She was like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
The thing about Ronaldo, so I've gone back like everyone else over time, like watched YouTube clips, looked at his stats, talked to people who've watched him, and then also read loads around it and listened to loads of podcasts about him. And he managed to combine the physicality, right? He's a big guy, big, 6'1". Apparently he had the feet of Messi, and he had the speed of Mbappe at the same time. And think about this: Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, and he put the fear of God into people when it was 40 yards away from goal. He had it all, apparently.
Look,
he had it all. He had it all. And then he scored bangers on bangers at Barcelona, right? He became the World Player of the Year.
I agree with you.
And the only thing, right, that kind of screwed up his career was his knee. But for that time,
partying as well.
Yeah, partying, yeah. So,
I think that might be what's.
But listen. For that period in his early career, his peak was phenomenal. He was playing for teams that were good, right?
Okay,
but those teams were not built. Those teams were not built around him. He was just phenomenal, right? Phenomenon. Yeah, that's his name. But he just had it all. Does that make sense? Like, he would walk into a pitch, you're like, this is it.
Okay, if that's what you're saying.
The step overs. He used to sit keepers down.
If you're looking at like not just how long a player's been good for, but like where their peak was, right? If you look at someone like Ronaldinho, he went to Santiago Bernabeu, Real Madrid Stadium, and he got a standing ovation from their fans. Yeah. As a Barcelona player, could you get a bigger, achievement than that, where Real Madrid fans are on their feet clapping for you, saying, mate, you just destroyed our team, you're that good.
But that's
because the 2-3 years that he was at Barcelona, when he was absolutely amazing, then I know he fell off, right? But when he was amazing, he was unplayable. Like, he was the guy. You know what I mean? Like how you're talking about Ronaldo, like he was the guy. So do you not have to consider him then? Zidane, when he made the entire Brazilian team look stupid in the World Cup by himself.
Yeah. No. I think in terms of the GOAT, right? The GOAT discussion can be about, there's several aspects, right? The longevity, how long someone's at the top. Ronaldo and Messi. If
They've
that's
just done it
if it becomes a longevity debate, there's no discussion. There's no discussion.
Yeah.
Diego Maradona's peak. No, he peaked at Napoli, helped them out. He went to Barcelona, did flop though. He did flop because they sold him.
I wouldn't call him a flop, but he didn't live up to the
expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Diego Maradona is viewed in the lens of World Cups. So his peaks were at World Cups.
Yeah.
His career pinnacles were at the World Cup. So everyone's seeing greatest of all time, Maradona. But his longevity, his consistency at the top, I'm not sure if it will ever match up to Messi. Comparing an Argentinian number 10 to another Argentinian number 10, his longevity is not Messi's. But then the question becomes, how does he make people feel? Like when people watched it, the eye test. Because the pitches were bumpy when he was playing. So he can't have longevity because he's going to get kicked.
I'll be honest with you, right? Like, I'm not sure about yourself, but for me, I can never put Pele or Maradona as the GOAT simply because I never saw them play. Do you know what I mean? Like, how am I going to turn around and say, oh, Pele was the GOAT because he won 2 or 3 World Cups when I've never seen him play live, right? Like, obviously, you've seen the YouTube clips, whatever, like, but that's just a highlight. That's not your career. You can get, like, players who are not that good at football, right? And they have, like, amazing YouTube highlights, like, oh, look at his skills and his goals, right? So, I can't put someone like that as the GOAT when you know there's someone like Ronaldo and Messi that you've seen for over a decade just kill it with the amount of goals, skills, whatever it might be. Like, they have absolutely killed it. Which is why I think for me, like, our generation and the generation coming after us is going to be them. The generations before us, they'll be like, yeah, I saw Pele, he was my favourite. But, like, maybe it's just like a generational topic then. There can't be one GOAT. Like, every generation has their GOAT.
Generational great. That is it. I think that's the ultimate thing. But there's people that have seen players across generations, and they can say.
But then again, if you've seen a player 40 years ago, let's talk about Pele, right? If you've seen a player 40 years ago, how much of that do you remember for today? Because like they say Pele scored like 1,000 goals, right? And they're like that, but you never had offsides, so you can literally stand next to the goal and score.
And then someone's coming in and go, no, actually, no. Pele wasn't that great. He didn't score 1,000 goals.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit different. It's a completely different discussion. But I think generational great is a way to actually decipher greatness. But then think about this: Messi and Ronaldo, same generation players.
Who are you choosing? Go on.
I can't put them in the spot like that.
The question's coming. Who are you choosing? Who's your generational GOAT?
This generational great since say 2000 from 2005.
The Messi Ronaldo era, like since they started playing baseball.
So it's between them two, right?
To be fair, even in their era, you could talk about maybe Zidane and Ronaldinho because they weren't
they're slightly kind of part of it. Slightly. They're more towards the tail end of their careers. I would say but that's the thing. Their longevity is so long. Ronaldo made his debut in 2002. Cristiano Ronaldo made his professional debut in 2002.
Coming up 20 years. 20 years, yeah.
Like, that longevity, and it's been relatively at the top of the game, probably in the top 100 players, pretty much throughout his entire career. Same with Messi. So I'd say the generational great has to be.
Go
on. It depends. Like I can't decide honestly. I can't decide between the two.
But if you had to, okay, so say you're making
Ronaldo.
A team and
it has to be Ronaldo. For me, it has to be Ronaldo because he's done it across different teams.
Yeah.
Messi has done it at Barcelona. He's done it well. He's done very well.
He's done amazingly well. Yeah.
But I also think Messi is also the generational great because he's.
You can't change your answer like
I know I
You
can.
have to choose one name.
I
Okay,
can.
put it this way, right? You're making a team. You only have money for one of them. But the other one refuses to play. If the first one's in your team, right? You have to choose one. Who are you choosing?
Just one machine to come and score goals for me.
One player that you want in your team. It could be scoring goals. It could
I'll
be.
select Ronaldo. I'll tell you why. Ronaldo's played across different teams, across different systems. I know as he got older, the system has had to be catered towards him, but that has not always been the case, right? I mean, yeah, some managers have adjusted to him because he's the best player on the pitch, but he's played various positions. Whilst I feel Messi at the moment, or Messi previously, has struggled with Argentina because they had to cater towards him.
That Argentinian team was really good.
I don't know. They were rubbish.
No.
They're defenders. Name me one Argentinian
National.
defender. There's not. Yeah, there's a defender. Yeah.
Rojo was decent as well for Argentina.
Oh, come on.
That's why United bought him because he did decent. I'm not saying he was an amazing. I'm not saying he was an amazing defender. Like, I don't rate him, but in that tournament, he actually did decent.
Yeah, but
because they had Di Maria,
yeah.
They had Aguero, they had Higuain, they had Messi, right?
Yeah.
Zabaleta, he's Argentinian. He was playing for them. He was decent for Man City.
Those defenders would not feature in the top 10 defenders list.
Here's the thing, though, right? If you need to have a great player in every single position of your team to win, then does that make you really that good? Because isn't the whole point that you're meant to be better than others, so you can be that person with an extra step to be like, I'll do it.
There are way too many variables in football for one player just to define everything.
Yeah, no, you can't define.
Like you can have two Messi. You can have at the moment PSG are struggling with
Mbappe,
Messi, Mbappe, Neymar. On paper, that's FIFA. That's a FIFA dream.
Yeah.
You should not lose a game. But as things work out.
Do you know what? Here's another thing, though, right? When Messi went to PSG, everyone talked about, Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, and like this is going to be unbelievable. But if you look at Messi's career, it's not even the best front three he's played with, because he played with Neymar and Suarez.
You played with Neymar.
Neymar was better than the Neymar at PSG now. Obviously, that Messi was better than the Messi at PSG now because he was younger. And that Suarez, at that point of his career, is better than where Mbappe is right now.
Okay.
So
I think so. To kind of see, we're going down the Messi Ronaldo debate again. Let's pull it back out to the greatest of all time. GOAT as defined as
the ultimate car.
Yeah, the ultimate car. I think in terms of definition of GOATs, I think one of the key things for me is the idea that they are great regardless of the circumstances in which they find themselves in.
100%, yeah.
Success of the team is mainly predicated on their greatness, but they could also have other great players around them. But I think having other great things around you will put a question mark over your greatness. Are you great because you're great? Are you great because you're the best player out of 5 or 6 other great players or other great things? So that's one thing. So it's the circumstances, your team, and then also the second aspect is, your contributions. Are they statistical contributions, or are we having the eye test? Does he just look good when he's doing, or does she look good when she's doing whatever she's doing, right? So those are the aspects that I think are generational greats or greats of all time.
We've basically been discussing this for like 15 minutes now, right? So you have to give one name and then we move on
longevity. Longevity. I think longevity in football
or
in football. I think Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo, is the greatest of all time.
The Brazilian Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't see that one coming.
I'll tell you what. He made people dream.
That is very true.
People could.
Do you know
was once? I think
another thing I would say, which I think is very important, before this whole Ronaldo Messi race that started for like 10 years, right, that they've been on, people cared about football, like you said, in terms of how the player made you feel. Like, it wasn't just how many goals has he got, oh look, I got 4 more goals than you, I'm better than you. I think the fans right? All the stat comparisons with like all these media companies. They made this into like this weird thing of just goals, 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 goals. And it's like, well, that's great. Obviously, like your team, you know, you're scoring goals, whatever. But how does the player make you feel? Like players like Zidane, Brazilian Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, like these guys were unbelievable players that made you want to play football. And they are not discussed nearly enough as it should be today.
It's the dreams, like people who sell you dreams when you're watching football.
Exactly.
Or whatever sport you're watching, right? It's that dream. And I think that's one of the key things as well. When we're talking about greatest of all time, you're also comparing different eras in sports. Because football has drastically changed. The nutrition, the attention to detail that the players get and get provided with by the coaching staff. And it's drastically changed. Therefore, it almost becomes a redundant discussion. I know we're talking about it, but you know, it becomes a redundant discussion because you're now effectively comparing two different, what might be two different sports. So that's why we need to generational great. I think anyway. I think based on what we've saying, generational great is a way to actually measure it. Well, if you were to ask me, greatest of all time, it's Ronaldo, the original, because he achieved so much. But there's also still a question mark is, if he did not get injured, what else could it have been? If he's able to be discussing the same thing, his peak was playing across different teams in the 90s.
And he killed it for all of them.
In the 90s, like in the early 90s, when the pitches were crazy, the tackles were flying in, he was just unreal. And he made people, as I said before, my mum screaming. I remember screaming.
The mum test should be the new stupid part of the conversation.
That's screaming. This guy's like nuts. Go crazy. I think that's it. For me, it's in football, the original Ronaldo, not on paper, but just maybe how he made people feel. Like, what can this sport be? Where can this sport get to? And he gave that. Wow.
I'll be honest with you, after all the shit that we've been talking, I'm going to say Cristiano Ronaldo. Because I'm a United fan, I'll go for it.
There you go.
The guy's career, his longevity, his goal scoring, it's been absolutely nuts. And what is mad about his career is, right, if you look at how Cristiano started, and if you compare to like Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, if you look at their stats, he had such a slow start compared to the rest of these guys. And where he's sitting today, like his career after 30, if you look at how many goals he scored both for Portugal and Madrid and Juve and United, it's just absolute madness. And I think his mentality of like, I'm a winner and I'm the guy, I think that just puts him on top of everyone.
Got Ronaldo fanboy in the room.
Absolutely. Alright, moving on. That's enough football. Formula One.
For me, not a huge Formula One fan, but Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher have to be the greatest. Like, just
you gotta choose one though. You have to choose one over the other.
It's Michael Schumacher, right? Because I grew up watching him. Michael Schumacher has to be. Lewis Hamilton as well. I grew up watching him, but Schumacher has to be the one. In that red Ferrari, skit.
The red Ferrari.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think any of the drivers deserve to be GOATs. I think Formula One is one of the stupidest sports because it's all about your car. It's all about your car. Look, right, let's be honest with you. When Ross Brawn went to Ferrari, their car was so good that Schumacher dominated, right? Lewis Hamilton has dominated with Mercedes because the car is so good that, you know, like this year was legit like the first year where Verstappen actually, like there was another car, Red Bull, that could challenge them, right? And here's where I'll prove it. Here's how I'm going to prove it. When Vettel with Red Bull was dominating, right, he won like, 4 championships? They were calling him the best young talent to have ever been in Formula One, right? Like, that's what they were saying about him. Where is he today? It's all about your car, yeah. It's all about your car in Formula One. Look, I'm not discrediting any of the drivers, right? I'm not saying they're bad drivers. They're all amazing drivers. You have to be an amazing driver to be in Formula One. But within Formula One, the races are determined by your car and not the driver. So I don't think there is a Formula One GOAT. I think it's the cars. Actually, do you know who's a Formula One GOAT? Ross Brawn. The guy who made Ferrari great, and then the guy who made Brawn GP, which Mercedes took over and then became great. So Ross Brawn, you're the GOAT.
You killed this discussion, didn't you?
Is the honest answer?
You actually killed it.
Is the honest answer?
You actually you genuinely killed it.
Is the honest answer? Do you not agree though? Like, how many drivers have you seen, right?
I think there's also
Jensen Button, right? Prove me wrong on this. The guy was in Formula 1 for such a long time, was like a very average driver, wasn't doing much.
And you're just taking down Formula 1.
And then goes on to dominate.
You're just using this segment to take down Formula 1.
I'm not. All I'm saying is...
Your agenda of Formula 1.
All I'm saying is, right, the engineers and like those guys should be respected more than they're given. Because everyone just looks at the driver and says, oh yeah, look at this guy, like he's so good. But in fact, it's not just him, it's the car that's making him good. So the cars and the engineers should be respected more.
You think?
Mic drop.
I agree with you. But then also back to football. Then that means when you're talking about football, you think the coaches, the nutritionists should be the ones that are viewed as the GOATs, right? Or generational
No, because
greats.
in football, right? In football, even if you are not playing with as good a team, right? Yeah, obviously the tactical, changes that your manager makes helps you, but it's still you who has to kick the ball in the goal. It's still you who has to run. It's still you who has to dribble, beat your man. In the car, right? If your car is so dominant, right, that you're faster than everyone, like if you look at Mercedes over the last 7-8 years, right, where Hamilton's dominated, like most of the times he's all by himself in the front, right? There's no other team that's competing with him. But Mercedes winning year in, year out, like race after race.
But I was also say, in defence of, this is turning into defence of Formula 1, isn't it? But in defence of the drivers, right? They also give the engineers feedback on the car. So they say the car works like this. This is what you need to adjust. It feels like this when I'm driving it. This needs some adjustment. So in order to be a top F1 driver, you actually need to be able to provide information around the car, right? And to get to that stage where you're driving one of the fastest cars in F1,
absolutely,
people need to know that you're that guy.
No,
and that's the thing. It's almost like listen. It's almost like you can't be the striker for Manchester United just because it's just vibes. You get to that position, and you can't then turn around and say, "Oh, Messi and Ronaldo only scored those amount of goals because they play for the top teams." Right?
I think you could say that, but yeah.
You could say that, but the reason that they're there is they're able to deliver. Whereas to someone else with less ability is not able to deliver.
No, this is what
Think
I'm saying,
about this.
right?
Juve at the moment, they've got Federico Chiesa up front, Dybala up front. They're not banging goals like Ronaldo. He was the problem before. You're a Ronaldo fanboy, right? They're not delivering. They're not delivering at the moment. So when you're talking about that aspects, right? I think they need to put some respect on F1 drivers' names.
No, look, like I was saying, right? I think these
Sir
drivers
Lewis
are
Hamilton.
absolutely amazing, right? Like they're great drivers. You have to be like an amazing driver to be in F1 and be driving those cars. Absolutely, there's nothing about it. I'm not saying they don't have any talent, none of it. But what I'm saying is, within Formula 1, when you're driving in Formula 1, right? It's not the driver that makes a difference. It's the car. So anyone who goes on to dominate the championships as much as they do, it's not because of them. It's the same with Schumacher. Like everyone loves him, Michael Schumacher. Yeah, I grew up watching him. Like obviously it was great, but was it his car? Of course it was. It was the Ferrari that dominated year in, year out.
Like I said before,
and then
right?
It was like, well, here you go.
Like I said before, you can't be the main striker for Barcelona for 10 years if there's nothing about you, right? Or more than 10 years, like Messi, for example.
Yeah, but
you have to have the
okay,
ability.
Give me.
You have to have the ability to be in that
I'll
Ferrari.
Give you
have the
right?
ability to be in that Mercedes.
I'll give you an example, right? So every football team, like let's say Prem, what are there like 18, 20 teams in Prem? 18 teams, right? Everyone has a striker, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has a striker. Not all of them are as good as each other, right? But say your striking ability wasn't the determining factor in how many goals you scored. If you were to take that away and say you had a striker who's scoring like maybe 5-6 goals a season and he's struggling, all of a sudden next season goes on to become the MVP and the player of the month every single month.
It does happen. It does happen sometimes. Though.
You just look at him and be like, you need to be drug tested.
Hold on. Diogo Jota moves from Wolves bang scores for Liverpool.
Jota was pretty decent to begin
It
with.
was decent.
He wasn't
but
bad.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't this Jota though. Because now he's driving a Ferrari.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. He's driving that Ferrari. That Ferrari is carrying Diego Jota to the championship.
Yeah, but Jota,
Jota
Jota has the ability though. He had the ability.
No,
he just wasn't in a
the
Ferrari.
the drivers have the ability. Exactly. It's all about the car. I think the only way to make F1 fair to everyone is give them all the same car, like every single driver the same car, and say drive in to see who's the best.
All right.
That's the only way F1 makes sense.
All right. I think you've ruined the debate on F1. Like you've ruined that. There's no GOAT in F1 according to you. There's only
Ross Brawn,
the GOAT engineer. Okay, that's fair enough. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying the engineers need to be given more credit.
Okay, you see, so you're saying in F1 we need to see it from a different lens.
Yeah.
It's not just the drivers.
Yeah.
It's the team directors, the engineers.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we'll start to look at them like football coaches. Like, who is this?
Not even necessarily football coaches, because think about footballers, right? Your coach can give you all the tactics, he can give you whatever they need to, but it's you who has to go and do it. If your car, right, in F1 isn't competitive, say if you're driving for like a mid-table car, there's no way you're keeping up with Hamilton. It's not because Hamilton is that much better than you, it's because your car is not going to allow it because his car is that much better than yours.
I see what you mean. Do you
know what I mean? Like, look at Vettel. The guy was considered the best young talent ever at one point, right? And now he's driving for Aston Martin, who are struggling, and no one talks about it. Why is he coming? Like, he's coming where his car, the car's abilities are, right?
But there's also a thing, right, where in F1 there's accepted knowledge that certain drivers can always push the car. I think that's where Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, for example.
Max Verstappen.
Yeah, they're known. There's a respect among them, right? That these guys are good. They always push it to the max. So even if you have the best car, they're getting the best out, the best.
No, I absolutely give them credit for it.
And let's put some respect on that.
No, I'm giving them the respect, right? I'm not saying like I'm not saying these guys are talentless and they don't do anything. Like, you have to be an amazing driver. But put Hamilton in the same car as Vettel and see what happens. He's going to get the same results that Vettel's getting.
Maybe not the same results. He might push the car to be. It might not be the best.
I don't think so. I honestly think that's what the car has, because Vettel was a 4-time champion as well. Don't forget it. He's a 4-time champion. So I was saying, is he not good enough to push the car? Because Hamilton was still in F1 when Vettel was winning year in, year out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like everyone took a break from F1 and then the guy was by himself riding his car and he was winning.
Like I said,
they were all there?
You've killed the GOAT discussion in F1. It's not Lewis Hamilton. It's not Michael Schumacher. It's
Ross Brawn.
Killed it. Absolutely killed. Next sport covered. Tennis is one of those things that.
Do you know what? I think these GOAT conversations are a lot better for like single person sports rather than team sports, like individual sports. I think it makes more sense because you've got no one that you can either benefit from or no one that you can blame. It's you.
No one's out.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I think the greatest of all time in tennis is actually not Roger Federer.
I think it's Nadal.
It's Djokovic. In men's tennis, it's Djokovic.
I think it's Nadal.
It's Djokovic. Djokovic is winning. He's still winning. He's winning. Listen, I'm going to hear my point. You're going to hear my point?
Go on.
Djokovic is winning at the same time that Federer, Nadal, Murray are all playing.
Here's one thing I would say though, right?
Nadal, your guy, I'm going to de-goat him. He only wins in clay. You can't be a GOAT if you only win in one surface.
Yeah, but he's
greatest clay player of all time.
Here's what I would say though. He's won all the major tournaments, so he does win, not as often. But here's the thing I would say about the reason why I think Nadal and Federer still maybe a level above Djokovic is because one, Federer's obviously a lot older, so Father Time has caught up with him. And two, Nadal has had a lot of injuries, which means his peak isn't there anymore. Yeah. And that's when Djokovic really started winning. When they were in their peak, Djokovic was the guy who was facing them in the semis, because he was obviously an amazing player. He would always make it to the semis, face one of them, and lose. Now, if you want to say Djokovic took that step up, and now actually is the best player, or do you want to say the other two almost stepped down because of the age or injuries or whatever it is? That's up to you. So I think that's the question mark.
Alright, I'm just looking at the moment, like in terms of players, right? Like that Federer has had to play with. So Federer was playing at the time,
With
and
Nadal.
Agassi was playing.
But here's
And
another thing I would say.
Pete Sampras was playing at the same time.
Here's
Andy Roddick.
But here's another thing I would say though, right? One more thing on this topic, right? Nadal and Federer played each other how many times in the finals? If one of them wasn't there, do you know how many titles the other one would have won? It would have been unbelievable. And I don't think that Djokovic has someone like that with him right now who is there every single time.
Who's there at their peak? I get, but if you're gonna do it based on wins, it's Djokovic. On the men's side, it's Djokovic, 100%.
No,
Because he's good. When he does finish his career, he'll have a lot more wins. It's whether people want to de-goat him because.
But does he have the same name that Nadal or Federer does?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't, does he?
But that's it. Maybe people just don't like it.
Maybe.
That could be Djokovic's issue.
Maybe people don't like him as much. Yeah, because the other two definitely have a much bigger fan base.
The fanboys on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Federer hasn't got fanboys on Twitter. He's got fanboys at the All England Lawn Tennis Association, whatever Wimbledon belongs to. He's got fanboys there. I think that's where he kind of comes into his own. So I'm actually looking at men's tennis in terms of Grand Slams. So Djokovic has got 20 at this moment in time. Federer's got 20. Nadal's got 20, right? Pete Sampras has got 14. Roy Emerson 12.
No, but you're looking at Nadal and Federer at 20 each, right? How many times have they played each other in the finals and one of them took it?
That's a lot. But then you can ask the same of Djokovic, though. You can ask the same of Djokovic has had to play all these guys, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, when they peak, right? He was losing in the semis to them. He was very rarely making it to the finals.
Maybe it was a young man coming through.
He's the same age as them. He's maybe like a year or two younger. He's not that much younger than them. Yeah. He's, I think, a year or two younger than Nadal, if that.
But then that says more about Nadal, though, than Djokovic.
He just got injured, right? Like, how, you know.
Then you're like, Djokovic is actually, maybe he's got longevity.
Maybe, yeah.
Ahead of all of them. So Djokovic was born in. Well, you're right. There's only a year difference between them.
Exactly. And Nadal always had the power pacey game. And when he got injured, he wasn't as good anymore. And Federer with his, he's like a really classy player, but obviously he's a bit older than the rest. So
it's actually that Federer might be the greatest of all time then. Because
I think if you speak to pure tennis people, right?
Because
Federer, yeah.
Because like as I said, we have done a lot of research on these topics, and I'm doing my research now as we speak. So, Federer is born in 1981, Nadal 86, Djokovic 87. So Federer's fairly, in sporting terms, older than them, right? So Federer has had to play with the older generation, as I've said before, Agassi, Roddick, Pete Sampras to an extent. I don't know. Towards the end of his career, maybe.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. But so Federer having 20 titles actually kind of works in his favour, right? Because he's had to battle kind of early on in his career loads of different greats or different mediocre-ish good players. And then his peak, he had to fight off sort of Andy Murray as well, good tennis player. Nadal and Djokovic on the come up. And now he has to face Nadal and Djokovic whilst his powers are on the wane. So, my tennis great, men's tennis great, is Roger Federer.
So, within the space of 10 minutes, right, you've changed your answer, which shows that your opinions cannot be trusted.
I was just being controversial. When I said Djokovic, I wanted to say Federer. But
what that proves is Tanash's opinions cannot be trusted.
I'm just controversial.
I'll be honest with you. I think
that was a hot take. That was a hot-headed take. But Federer is actually the greatest of all time. So if you look at there's a level of consistency in terms of the the titles he's got, right? So French Open's got one. There's a very specific. There's a very specific reason.
Life, yeah.
Djokovic has got two.
Again,
And
Nadal dominated
yeah,
all his life,
there's a very
so he didn't get a chance.
Nadal's got 13 French Open titles. That's fucking insane.
That is mental.
So he's definitely the best clay court.
Yeah.
There's no point of discussing it, right? But what I'm seeing is that Federer's consistent. Australian Open 6, French Open 1, US Open 5, Wimbledon 8. He has dominated Wimbledon because he's just that good.
Yeah.
Nadal, Australian Open 1, French Open 13, US Open 4, Wimbledon 2. I don't know. Bit flaky for my liking. Bit inconsistent, but okay. That is
your way to describe a career. A bit flaky.
Yeah, it's a bit flaky. It's just one of the greatest tennis players of all time.
All the work Nadal's done in his life to get to this stage, only for Tanasha to call it flaky.
Yeah, I feel like an internet troll right now. No, I need to put some respect to Rafa Nadal's name. Incredible achievement. And then Djokovic, Australian Open 9, French Open 2, US Open 3, Wimbledon 6. So kind of similar to
Federer, but he's been a bit more consistent.
Yeah, a bit more consistency. But that Australian Open 9, who let him win 9 Australian Open titles? Jeez. You might actually, at some point, have the same amount of Australian Open titles as your GOAT has of French Open titles.
Which would be to play for that longer. That's another 4 years, but he has to win.
Has to
get to 13, right?
Yeah.
So
I think so. My GOAT is Roger Federer in tennis. I've made my mind up.
I think if you speak to all the tennis enthusiasts who actually follow it, they would say Federer simply because his longevity, he dominated all the tournaments.
But it's his class though. He's got the eye test. He passes the
little
eye test.
Little flicks that he does. It's like, ooh, you know what?
It's a little flick of the wrist and he's there.
I would just say Nadal because he's my favourite player. So that's my reasoning, man. Prove me wrong.
You have no reasons for your GOAT. You just feel like your GOAT is your GOAT. You're one of those people that I watch something and I just like the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's one of the things with the GOAT.
I mean, he's got 20 Grand Slams, so it's not like he's liking the rest, is he? So
it's a bit flaky.
Just a little flaky, you know. 30 years of hard work described in one word, flaky.
Bit flaky on other courts. No, but on a serious note, Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, incredible achievements. I just do think Federer has that thing about him with longevity across different eras, playing with different tennis players. And also, eye test, the flick of the wrist, he's got that. None of these guys can do what he does, like the flair, you know. It's Ronaldinho, Messi, Ronaldo combined in one. That's how I describe Federer. Whereas Djokovic is like Ronaldo, you know, just a machine.
Yeah.
Just out there.
And I think, I mean, if anyone says, like Federer's the GOAT, you can't really, you're wrong, you know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's your opinion, but yeah, I can see why you would say it, basically.
But you've died on the Nadal's the greatest.
I think he's the greatest because I like the way he plays. Like, he's my favorite player, so that's why I'm gonna say he's the greatest. But if someone came, like if I had to go watch Federer, I wouldn't cry about it. I'd be like, yeah, I'll be up for it.
That's torture.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I'd just be like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm up for it. Let's do it. So.
Alright. So.
Time for hot take. So this is a section or a session, right, of the podcast we're gonna do. But you need to do a hot take on the topic that you've discussed, which obviously today's been about GOATs that people would consider controversial.
Let me go first.
My hot take is, and I know we've just spent about 40 minutes talking about it, but the whole GOAT discussion is stupid. I think it's one of the most pointless things you can have, right? People are going to have their own GOATs because people like different players. Again, goes back to Nadal, Federer. I think it's a generational thing as well, where your grandparents might like someone completely different to you. And do you know what? A lot of the kids growing up now, they would not like the same sporting stars, or they might not even know some of the sporting stars that we rate, and they'd be like, who are they?
Who's Neymar?
No, do you know what? There'll come a time when people are like, who's Messi and Ronaldo? Do you know what I mean? There'll be a time, because when people saw Pele and Maradona and these guys play, if we take the Brazilian Ronaldo as an example, like growing up, we watched him and we rate him highly, and we would never take him out. But the younger generation coming up, you say Ronaldo to them, and what does that mean?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Exactly. So I think the whole GOAT conversations are stupid, and they should be stopped.
I don't have a hot take at this moment in time. I'm thinking of it, but one GOAT I did not mention when it came to tennis. No, we made it clear it was men's tennis.
Serena Williams.
There's no debate.
I don't think there's a
I
debate.
can't be asked.
She's dominated, and she'll continue to dominate since we freaking retired.
Yeah. She even took time out of the game, a
Exactly.
few years ago to pursue other interests. And still came back and smashed it. She went out injured, smashed it. She got pregnant, came back.
She played pregnant, right?
Yeah, played pregnant and won it. A slam whilst pregnant. So, there's no debate.
Serena,
Yeah.
you already know, but you don't need it.
She has a little bit of a flaky career. She just graceful.
You already know, man. Like,
There's
you don't
no
need
point. It'll be a flaky debate. I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
I think my hottest take, you've taken away my hottest take actually.
it. God.
I think generational great is the way to measure greatness rather than greatest of all time, because it saves the whole, oh, you didn't see him, I saw him when I was 2, you've never seen him, I saw Pele when I was 5, it was great. You can't remember what your name was when you were 5, like barely, you can barely remember your own name,
Exactly.
let alone that you watched Pele aged 5. So that's one thing. I think my hottest take has to be.
There's a lot of suspense building up here.
No. I'm trying to like really get to grips with this.
But you've kind of said it though, right? Like it's meant to be a generational thing. That's your
That's my hot take is a generational thing. But my hot take is that strikers in football are overrated.
Ooh.
That is my
okay.
hottest take. Strikers in football are overrated. There's certain things you need them, but strikers in football are overrated. Someone can bang 2 goals in a game and still lose. You can consistently score 2 goals a game and your team still lose. The most important players on the football pitch are goalkeepers.
That is a really, really hot take.
The most important players are goalkeepers.
That is a really, really hot take.
And if you really want to push it, you say centre backs. It's the goalkeepers.
I'll let you explain your own thing.
It's the goalkeepers, right? I'll say this. A goalkeeper can keep you in a match for as long as they're okay. If they're in top form that day, you are in the game. If your goalkeeper has an off day, no matter how well you play, you're not winning that game.
What if, right? And I know we're trying to wrap it up, so I'll keep it quick.
Yeah.
What if the ball never gets to your goalkeeper because your defenders and your midfielders are doing so well, and your goalkeeper's having the worst day possible? What about then?
It is what it is. It's a team sport, right?
Okay.
It's a team sport. But I genuinely think this. Strikers in football are overrated. Goalkeepers are the most important players on the pitch, simply because they give your team the stability and the confidence to do what they need to do out there. Think of Arsenal at the moment. Aaron Ramsdale has come in, bit of confidence. I'm not sure how good it is, but a bit of confidence.
He's definitely got it now.
He's got it, and he helps him out. Manchester United, Edwin van der Sar came through. Everything stabilised. That's success going forward. Man City, Edison came through.
Liverpool was the biggest example
Yeah,
of that.
came
No,
through.
but would that be Van Dijk or would that be the goalkeeper?
Who knows? But the goalkeeper,
Who knows?
but the goalkeeper has been doing bits for a very long time. And then, if you look at Real Madrid, Barcelona, the Pep Guardiola Barcelona, Victor Valdés was known as a flaky keeper before. He sorted his act out, and then they started winning consistently.
I would say there's a few other players in the Barcelona team who might deserve credit a little bit more. From the manager to Messi to maybe Xavi and Iniesta, Busquets, Piqué, Jordi Alba.
No. I appreciate that, But then Casillas for Spain consistently. There's loads of other players, but you can win without a striker. Barcelona played without a striker for a while.
Dude, they had Messi.
But Messi's not a striker.
They had David Villa and they had
playing with the
Henry
left.
and they had all these
He's
guys.
playing on the left. Like the Spain team that won. Fernando Torres was not playing up front. David Villa was, he was playing. They were playing, but let's not lie. But those players at one point were interchangeable. But one thing they could not do without was their goalkeeper.
Do you know what? That is certainly a hot take. Not sure I agree with it, but that is a hot
I'm
take.
telling you, goalkeepers are the most important players on the football pitch.
Hey, I mean,
I'm telling you right now.
this is down to everyone listening, right? You drop your comments on whose hot take do you agree with? Mine, that the whole GOAT topic is pointless, or Tinashe's who thinks strikers are not important, and goalkeepers should be winning Ballon d'Ors. Basically,
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
there should be. There's not enough goalkeepers of Ballon d'Ors out there, and we need to change that. You know.
Goalkeepers matter, basically.
Yeah. Goalkeepers are the one. You can't do anything without them.
I mean, well, that was episode 1, so hope you guys are still listening to it.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed it.
It'll be a bit more structured next time.
Yeah, and we'll be doing a lot more other topics as well. But like we said, the podcast will become where it will become over time. So hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, see you guys next time, I guess.
Like, subscribe.
Like, if you're on Spotify, keep clicking on listen. Wherever you're listening, hope you guys just enjoyed it.
Just leave it on loop.
Yeah.
Get those
Just
numbers
leave
up.
it on the loop, yeah.
Stat pad.
Stat pad it.
Alright, cheers guys. Thank you very
Cheers.
much.